Devin.
And it's Sophie. Welcome to the Crying in My Pillow podcast.
We're here to discuss our teenage struggles on a day-to-day basis.
Now grab a box of tissues, your favorite pillow, and some snacks, and let's get into it.
Hey guys, welcome to our first official podcast. Today we're going to be talking about toxic relationships.
We're going to start off with talking about romantic relationships, then we'll go into friendships and end off on family. So to kind of start off with the romantic relationships, that's what's most talked about, I feel like.
That is definitely the one that is the most common though. So
That is true.
I don't know about the most common. I feel like there's a lot of that's not.
when
talked
somebody
about.
says toxic relationship, it comes straight to
That's
you.
the first thing that comes to your mind, but it's not. I don't think it's like the.
Because people don't necessarily realize that.
No, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
It's like that's the most common
Oh,
and
yeah.
biggest thing that comes to mind when talked about toxic relationships.
Right, because there's like a lot of, whenever like you're dating someone, like a lot of people, like that's all that they forget all their other friends and that's their only person then. And so then like they manipulate you, like you don't need to hang out with them anymore. Like you just need me.
It starts off with
Like you
words
don't spend time
said,
with me.
yeah, you don't spend time
What?
with me, and
You'd rather be with them than me?
yeah, and, well, I know this is last minute, but you want to go hang out with so and so. Well, I'm your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and I wanted to do this with you, and we never get time together.
Yeah.
So, I think you should just do this, and if not, I'm gonna be mad at you, like that type of thing.
Yeah. And then, like, there's just, like, always that. And that kind of goes, like, across all boards, is that sometimes a person is just very controlling. And they have to, like, learn that they're controlling because, like, it's sometimes you just have to, not sometimes, you need to stand up for yourself. If someone's, like, going after you and they're like, I don't want you to hang out around guys. Just be like, okay, what if we hang out in a group setting? Would that make you more comfortable? Like, have a compromise, like me.
And conversating between yourself and explaining, and I'm not coming at guys, I'm not coming at them at all, but guys are like, girls are so complicated. And honestly, like, we tell you, this is what's wrong, this is what you did to make me upset, and this is what you can do to fix it, and this is what, I want to talk about this. And we explain that, and they're like, still, at the end of it, like, what? They're like, what? What are you even talking about? Huh? Annoying. I just gotta say that. But, and then they're always like, oh, well, if you get in a fight or something like that, they want to, mine just blanked. They want to just forget about it and just move on, even if it actually hurt you.
And, like, it gets worse over and over time.
Yeah.
Because I read a book one time, and there's a very toxic relationship in it, and it's the book's It Ends With Us. You should read it. I'm going to make you two read it now. But, you know, he hits her one time, and he was like, it's an accident, like, he apologized profusely. But then, he was like, it's never going to happen again. It happened again. Of course it happened again. Because that's just who he was. Like, he might have not necessarily wanted to hit her, and it might have been, like, out of rage for something else, but he still hit her, and he should have, like, known that's not okay to hit her.
And you know, being like, oh, I'm sorry. Well, if you're sorry, you're actually going to show that you're sorry. You're not going to, you know, you're not going to say, I'm sorry, and then, like, a few days later, do the same thing over again.
If you do it over and over again, I'm sorry isn't gonna fix it. Like, if you do it once, okay, but if you do it again, it's probably a thing that's gonna.
Right, and then, like, I feel like some people, if they're dating someone who has a great family, they're like, I don't want to leave that family. Like, I've seen myself in that position before. I'm just like, their like, environment and, like, them themselves are such a great person, but then it's like, what about that? Even if it's happened 2 times, that should never happen to you.
Right. And going back on that, it's really hard too, like, if you're super attached to that person's family, and, like, you know, some people can go overboard with it, like, the parents being like, oh, oh, well, we're already planning your guys' wedding. Like, just saying. We're already planning your guys' wedding. Oh my gosh, you guys get along so well with the kids, whatever. But then, like, if you're in a toxic relationship, that you have to get out. Like, you have to get out because, and I feel like with somebody that shows toxicity, people go to defend them even when they're in the wrong. And they're like, oh, well, they would never do that. They wouldn't do that. Or, well, they've had issues for a while and, okay, you need to work on yourself before you get in a relationship.
I agree. Then also, like, there are people that, like, their parents or their grandparents may have, like, some sort of issue, and if they, like, have it too, they'll be like, oh, well, it's this person's fault in my family, you can't blame me. And then you're like, oh, well, okay. And you just kind of have to deal with it.
Because there's nobody really there to guide them, and like as teenagers, you should be the one to like have to guide them out of it.
And we were talking about earlier about gaslighting.
Yes.
About how common gaslighting is, and if people don't know what gaslighting is, it's when you say you're in a relationship with someone, and you, as we were saying, they say they want to go hang out with somebody, like they want to go hang out with somebody that makes you uncomfortable by themselves, and say it's your boyfriend with another girl, but they've made you uncomfortable, and you don't want them to be together, and then they're just like, your boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, tells you, oh, you're crazy. Why can't you let me? You're just being overprotective.
Why can't you trust me?
Yeah, why can't you trust me? And I get it to a point, like, there should come to an understanding that, okay, well, I'm uncomfortable with this, so, like, we can hang out as a group, that's fine. But if they're like, well, you're just being overprotective, and they just want to be, obviously, it's a
They're
red
making
flag.
you feel bad, yeah.
But it's also a red flag, like, why do you want to be alone with that person so bad? Like,
Mm-hmm.
automatically, that's a red flag.
Unless it's somebody like who you've been friends with your whole life, okay, or like somebody who you're just really good friends with. It's like,
And
okay.
before I came in the picture, they were already in the picture? Yeah.
Yeah. Or just like, it's like it's their best friend, and you know that, and like you know how much like they mean to them, and that there's like nothing there, and you have that trust. But if you don't have that trust, like.
And if they've given you a reason not to trust you, and then they're like, they go back to it, and they're like, oh, you're just being overprotective. Oh, you should trust me. Oh, I'm not like that person anymore. You've given me a reason not to trust you, and the fact that you're not wanting to stay in the boundaries I've asked you to stay in is a red flag.
Yeah, right. I feel like that can also go into friendships. If you're with a friend who's controlling over what you do, so, like, I'm not saying, like, I want to go to Arby's, you want to go to McDonald's, and you're like, no, we're going to Arby's, or McDonald's, whatever. And so, it's not like that. It'd be more so, I want to hang out with this person, and then you're like, I don't like them, and then, but you're like, okay, that doesn't mean I don't have to like them, and then they're like, okay, me or them. Like, if you're friends with me, you can't be friends with them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because there's something happened like a while back. It caused a big fight between me and my friends because two of my friends did not like each other, and we had plans for homecoming, and we were going to do everything together, and I had come up with this big idea, and they were super excited about it, and then they got in a fight, and they wanted nothing to do with each other, and they were like, oh, well, if that person's going to be there, I'm not being there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just ruin it for everybody then, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
It's just frustrating because I get it, you guys are in a fight and just don't talk to each other, but we can all get along, or put it beside you, like put it behind you, meaning like.
And then, according to Good Housekeeping, there's 4 different types of people, and the first one is who we just talked about. It's me versus them, like you pick, or it's like in any scenario they make you like feel bad because you don't want to do that, or you don't want to be friends with them, or you do want to do that and you do want to be friends with them. And so like we kind of just covered that one. And then there's a person who is like, it has to go my way. We all know, like, there's always going to be someone who's like, if it's a bad day, they're gonna make everybody around you have a bad day. And those people are like so not fun to be around.
It's like mentally draining. Just being around someone like that,
Mhm.
you kind of have to.
Because you always feel like you're walking on eggshells or thin ice.
Mhm.
Like, what wrong word am I gonna say to make this person even more upset? And they're gonna be upset at me. And what did I do wrong? And that's, like you said, very mentally draining.
Yeah. I feel like all of this is so bad for your mental health, but whenever you're with friends are who you surround yourself with. Like, we're friends, and so whenever we're around each other, like, we're always, like, laughing and giggling, and then if something's wrong, like, we tell each other. Like, we're there for each other. But whenever your friend is just bringing you down, that's not going to do any justice for anyone.
And it's not even bringing you down. I know people who bring themselves down, and then it's like, you know you're not. You know, like, you know the situation's going to work itself out. You know it's not the end of the world, and you know that it's all going to work out in the end, and yet you still want to continuously bring yourself down, bring others down with you, and then your entire mood is, like, shifted to me, and I was in a good mood.
Mhm.
Now I'm not. My mood's ruined.
I mean, like, I don't want to, like, say that they're attention seekers, but they are. Like, because they're fishing for compliments, kind of, and whenever they do that, then you think to yourself, like, she thinks her blonde hair is ugly, does that mean mine's ugly? Or, like, you just, like, start to think that, but then you're, like, constantly reassuring them, and then it's just to the point where it's just, like, I'm so tired of having to tell you, like, the same thing over and over again, because, like, we've had this talk so many times.
And it's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want it to change, it all starts with you.
Yeah, like, I can't do anything besides tell you, like,
Give you advice.
Yeah.
And you can't be mad at the advice I give you. Like,
Mhm.
that is so frustrating, I think, with friendships, is when a friendship, somebody comes to you and they're like, what should I do? Okay, here's my advice. Here's what I think you should do. Well, I don't want to do that. Or, well, that's just going to cause problems down the line. Or, well, I don't even know. Their opinion's completely different from yours. And then you're like, well, why did you ask me for advice in the first place then? Like,
Mhm.
and get mad at me for giving you advice on how to help you and how I think it will better you and help you out in life and make you not stressed out.
Yeah, of course, and you can always have a bad day. Like, everybody has a couple of bad days. And we kind of talked about that before. We're like, you can't control if the day just goes upside down. But you shouldn't be having a bad day every single day that you guys have, like, known each other. Like, as far as you can remember, they've just constantly been having bad days, and then it just tears you down. So then there's a point where you have to go in, and you have to say, this is killing me. Like, this is killing my mental health so badly, and I need to walk away from this. Like, whether it's just, like, a little, like, friendship break so you guys can work on yourselves, or whether it's just, I don't think we're meant to be friends, and that's just how it is. Because, like, not everybody is going to get along with each other.
Right. And doing that and going to that person and be like, hey, you're draining me, you will find out very quickly who is there and who is not. Like, the people who actually care are going to get their crap together and be like, okay, this is obviously taking strain on them, and it's wearing them out. And I'm sure if it's wearing them out, it's wearing other people out. So then I need to fix something for myself. But then there's other people that are like, oh, well, they're just a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're trying to better you.
And that kind of correlates to, like, the fourth person. It's the person who's just always like, just forget about it. Like, just forget I ever said that. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. But, like, to just say, like, I absolutely hate your hair color. And then, like, you tell me about it. Like, you confronted me about it. And I'm just like, oh, just forget about it. I didn't mean it. Like, I didn't really mean it. You know I didn't mean it. Why'd you say it then? Like, if you know that joke's going to hurt me, don't say it.
Yeah. And then the me versus them is...
Talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
I kind of shuffled around.
It's okay.
We added a fifth person.
Person who doesn't stand up for themselves, too. Like, yeah, that was definitely... You gotta stand up for yourself, because if you don't stand up for yourself, then nobody else is going to.
And they shouldn't have to, because that's like, you should, to like, everybody, I feel like at some point it's been at a time whenever they're so uncomfortable, they can't say something. And then, I know like with me, is that if something's really bothering me, I just won't say anything. Like I just keep it all within myself, and then that just like ends very badly. And we're all three kind of that way, where we just hold it in, and we're just not going to say anything to them until it's at a point where there's nothing to fix from the damage that was made.
And it's definitely like, okay, let's just keep taking it, and it's like Band-Aids over bullet holes, you know. You just keep taking it, and finally it's just like, okay, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore, I'm not gonna let you keep pushing me over, like, I am done. And if you don't see a problem in yourself right now, then you need to take care of it, and I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm dipping. And that brings us to toxic families.
Toxic families can be something you don't even know you're a part of.
They can be really hard to like differ between a healthy and a toxic relationship between your family, because you see so many other people going through things that seem worse than what you're going through, so it makes it hard to like know, is this toxic or is it healthy, because someone is going through something way worse than what I am.
Yeah, right. Like, did I just get in an argument with my parents, or is this happening too often for this to actually be like a good like mother-daughter fight or father-son or whatever? And with family, just they raised you, and it can be your aunt, and she's been there your whole life, and she can tell you one day at Easter, let's say, and she came up to you and she was just like, you know, I never thought you were pretty. And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
Or I hate the fact that, you know, some people are like, well, they're your elders in your life, you need to respect them. And I get that. I really do get that to a point. But if they're being so disrespectful to me, or disrespectful, like, even though they're family can diss family and try to put family against family. And like, if you're being disrespectful to my family, I'm gonna be disrespectful right back to you. And that's just the truth. Like, you're not gonna come at my family or me when, first of all, I didn't do anything wrong, and second of all, like, I've never had a problem with you to begin with. So.
And with families, I feel like definitely now it's very common to have divorced parents. And I know some people who they don't get along with their step-parents at all. And one time, somebody that I know, she told her step-parent that, hey, like, this is making me very uncomfortable, like, this is draining my mental health, and they responded with, you're not making your parent feel good. You're draining their happiness whenever you say you don't want to be with us. And then the kid is like, but I'm a kid. I'm 15, I'm 16. Like, this isn't fair to me. Like, am I supposed to be responsible for my parents' feelings whenever they had a whole life in front of them, and I'm doing like this, I'm standing up for myself, and then you're just making me feel bad about it.
Yeah, and I do not like it when it feels like parents are making their kids be a rerun version of themselves, where they, you know, oh, I did this wrong in my life, so to prevent that from happening, like, I feel like, and this isn't true for all, but I just see it as, like, parents trying to be like, oh, well, I did all this stupid crap, well, I need to prevent this from happening to my kid, and then they're like, oh, it's for your safety. Well, no, because then it gets to a point where it's so restricting that the kid's just gonna, as soon as they leave the house, they're just gonna go do whatever they want.
And they have to go to the real world eventually.
Yeah.
Like, we're in a small town. You have to leave this town eventually. Or if you do stay in this town, you're not going to be living with your parents your entire life.
And then when you go out into the real world, you're not going to be prepared because you were so sheltered, and there's no, like, I don't know. It's just all weird, and how parents word it isn't like, want it for your safety and so on and so forth, but in reality, it can just get toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a lot of, with divorced parents, you may not even want to go see your actual parent. It may not just be because of your step parent that's with them. It could be your mom or your dad that you have to go see by law, but when you're there, they're making you do stuff and they don't actually want to see you. They just want you there to do the things that they are too lazy to do.
Yeah, I kind of just make them do that. Looks like sterile.
I can't see that because I don't have my glasses on.
But so
We'll cut that part out. Oh,
I got it.
I said wings.
Okay, don't worry. I got it. But to kind of like deal with this, I feel like we should talk about how you deal with that. So with dealing with toxic families, I know not everybody has a teacher that they can necessarily confide in, but whenever you are still young, like, or just even another friend's parent, just be like, hey, is this normal? Just like, if you're not sure if this is normal or not, just be like, is this normal? And then see where that goes from there, you know? You just have to take the first step. And the first step can be, like, it can be a really big step, it can be such a tiny step, and that can just lead you to, like, having such better mental health whenever it comes to, like, the parents thing.
Yeah.
What'd you say about friendships, Evan?
Like just friendships or
Yeah, just like how to get out of a toxic friendship.
I would just say, you know, from having to deal with like some toxic friendships, you had to walk away. Like you were just done. Like me personally, when I was done, it's like, okay, this is completely draining me. My grades are horrible. Like I'm dealing with you and all of this stuff. So I was just like, you know what? We all very obviously need time apart from each other to get our things figured out. And in the end, it worked out. We get along great now. We respect each other's boundaries. And if anything, it made us closer because we were like, we had gotten to the point where we were basically, you know, I just let her say whatever. And then I just let it keep going and going and going, and then finally I was just done, and I was like, okay, I don't agree with you, and that got us into the fight.
And I feel like whenever we're always just like, you don't give up on stuff. Especially like if you're a competitive person, you don't give up on stuff, so you're not going to give up on a friendship. And you have to know that sometimes it's like the right thing, the brave thing, the selfless thing to walk away from a friendship or a relationship, or you can't really just walk away from your family. And like that's why that one's so tricky. And so I would definitely like talk to like somebody who would have like better knowledge on like what they can do, or they can just help you by like ranting.
Just because you're blood doesn't mean that you're family, though. I do have to say that. Just because family proves that they are there through thick and thin.
Yeah. Your family and you are.
And your family can be friends that are so close, like.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like friendships and relationships, one of the main reasons that they don't want to leave is because they love them too much. And sometimes you have to love them enough to let them go, and so that you can better love yourself.
And they need to learn how to love themselves before they can love you.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that pretty much wraps it up. So for our next little question for you guys is to go follow our Instagram, which is Crying My Pillow Pod, and we are going to post a what do you call it? A poll on Saturday at noon, and we're going to see if you guys want us to post in the morning or in the afternoon on Fridays. So go ahead and head over there tomorrow at noon.
We thought it'd be a better idea to do it in the morning just because we got you guys here at school, so we all know you guys are on your phones during school.
Or on your way to work, you know, making the ones of us who make our parents listen to this.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so thank you.